Hey guys, welcome back to another Minecraft video, and today's not a Let's Play episode, but instead a discussion one and a topic I wanted to cover. What are the top 5 quality of life changes that Minecraft has received? I'm sure many of us can agree Minecraft is a fantastic game ever since it came out, but of course in terms of various usability functions, it may not exactly be the most stellar experience you can find with interface and gameplay conveniences. Most people have taken the initiative to make quality of life mods. In fact, there is an entire subsection of YouTube videos dedicated towards shouting them out, and some of them I actually use myself, such as better sprint, Optifine, armor status, so on and so forth. Though I think it's also important to acknowledge a lot of things Minecraft has done to make the game more enjoyable for us to play in terms of vanilla, so you don't have to add those mods. There's a whole bunch of changes to pick, and I'm sure it's relatively subjective on which changes were the best, meaning just to preface, this will be mostly my opinion, so if you enjoy and want to see more videos like these, please be sure to give this video a like and subscribe, but let's cut to the chase and get started. In no particular order, number 1 on the list is the change to Enchanting in 1.8. For the most part, Minecraft isn't too grind heavy of a game, and in some cases grinding is the game. What with all the work you spend mining for resources, placing down blocks, Minecraft has no shortage of tedium, but part of its charm is that it's not exactly breaking the progression since we're actively doing something that isn't just mashing the A button or something like that. The one thing that was just really frustrating was grinding for good enchanted equipment. Some might argue this made the game too easy and that it was better for high-level enchantments, and I understand that since once you get things like Protection 4 and Sharpness 5, you basically become invincible, and so should it be possible to get that kind of stuff until you're well established in your world? Except 99% of the time, what most people do to achieve these enchantments is just to locate a spawner, or simply make it to the end, create an AFK grinder, stack a bunch of mobs, and then terminate them with extreme prejudice to get lots of experience. Very little of this is actually enjoyable, barring those who find constructing efficient grinders fun. The most notable improvement to 1.8 Enchanting is that it rewards players who can survive for more extended periods of time, by making it so that once you get to level 30, all you have to do is collect 3 more levels to do level 30 enchantments over and over again, giving you an actual incentive to not die in the game. Prior to hardcore mode being popularized, the only consequential punishment for dying was loss of experience, since most of the time you can either retrieve your materials back or you can just easily rebuild what you've lost. Unless you're one of those players who carries your entire storage through shulker boxes in your inventory, then I don't know what to say. This also removes the need for you to prioritize constructing a grinder, and you can conduct practically your entire adventure without one at all, so long as you just never die or reduce dying as much as you normally would. They did sort of counterbalance this by making the overall experience scaling lower, so it takes longer to level up, but all the more reason to make sure you don't die. Essentially, it adds another element of tension to survival, especially in the first few weeks in-game time. Let's also touch on the other aspects to 1.8, such as giving you an enchantment preview. It lets you know at least one of the enchantments you'll be getting, which is great, since you get some semblance of choice on what you want to have on your items. Enchanting wasn't bad before by any means, but this was a great way to rework it so that it doesn't have as much of a time sink factor into it, and it's more rewarding to those who prefer to collect their experience through things like mining and such. For the longest time ever, villager trading was only something you did if you just wanted to try something else, typically yielding little to no practical reward for doing so and being pretty grassroots. But now, trading and villages in general have completely overhauled to have a much more interactive experience, now actually encouraging players to actively find and interact with one. The first positive I would say is that each villager has an aesthetic based on their profession, making them a lot more conspicuous than just having a different colored tunic. There's a lot more valuables to obtain in a village, ranging from your standard blacksmith chest to even farm materials, basic essentials such as wood and food. On top of that, the village itself is a lot more lively, with the townsfolk actually going about their days and routines instead of just standing around and doing whatever. They did touch on this a little by having farmers run through the crop fields to maintain them, but now every part of the village has something happening, which does wonders for your immersion. Trading as a whole now has a more seamless looking UI, and the system changed to be less monotonous. Each villager has levels of skill that grants you more trades, meaning in order for you to get new items, you have to actively trade with them rather than just complete each new trade. More importantly, villagers can increase and decrease trade prices based on whether you have the buff hero of the village or through just trading gossip, which further improves on the experience by making it so these villagers have autonomy and don't simply stand around waiting for you to do something with them. Raids in particular have definitely been very interesting, especially since Minecraft, while not necessarily designed in that way, is not a challenging game, and there's not much stuff that you have to do in terms of PvE-oriented difficulty. In fact, the only things you really have to contend with are your first entry into the Nether, Ender Dragon, and the Wither. Consequently, not giving you much incentive to explore the world after you have everything you need in terms of resources. The village update in essence breathes more life into the Minecraft world by adding memorable set pieces for you to interact with. I only hope they keep doing this because vanilla is kind of mundane when it comes to exploration. I guess this choice is both a quality of life upgrade and a content upgrade. You know, never a bad thing though. A huge frustration for many players before 1.4 was that sometimes you would get enchantments on tools that would be amazing if you could just combine them together, like one pickaxe with efficiency and silk touch and another with unbreaking. The addition of the anvil to this day is still one of my favorite additions to the game. Besides being able to rename your tools or any item, it's just so nice to not have to throw away a perfectly good item just because it's missing a specific enchantment. Instead, what I can do is just continue enchanting the same item or a book and slap them together. Saves so much time, so many resources, and so many levels of experience. One other problem that was instantly fixed was the question of repairing. Beforehand, you had to create backup tools and weapons, not for the sake of replacement if you died and lost your stuff, but because there was just no way to repair broken tools. So not only did you have to grind for enchantments until you landed that perfect combination of like Protection 4, Feather Falling 4, and Breaking 3 on a pair of boots, but you had to get several of them since you couldn't replenish durability. That is thrown out the window entirely by allowing you to fully fix up an item for a few levels and spare materials, making it so that you only needed a couple sets of gear instead of constantly having to have a large amount of tech. It became even easier to repair your stuff after 1.8 when they not only drastically reduced the amount of levels needed to recover equips with strong enchants, but even made it so you could repair any tool regardless of how powerful it was. Prior to 1.8, certain items would just be impossible to fix if the total amount of levels costed over 40. This was something a lot of players were happy to see, and I was definitely one of them. For number 4, we gotta talk about inventory related stuff. Now yes, I know there are a lot of mechanical mods that help out with making Minecraft's rather primitive inventory system much easier to use, such as inventory tweaks, but let's also talk about the list of vanilla changes they did to Minecraft's inventory. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but I'd say the 5 most important ones that come to my mind are double click collection, shift click drop, shift click movement, hold and drag, and right click equipping. I believe all 5 of these came from the 1.5 redstone update, which definitely brought about a lot of quality of life changes. Double click collection stands out mostly because when you're trying to collect a bunch of one single item that are in small clusters or stacks scattered around here and there in your storage, rather than perusing over all your chests trying to find any remnants of gunpowder or the like, you can simply double click on an existing stack to have every item of that type combined into one. And while players nowadays don't think of it much now, it was a huge deal back then, trust me. Alongside that, we have the shift click drop and shift click movement. Manually having to move every single item from one slot to another was really tiresome, especially if you were transporting stuff between chests. Now though, it's really easy to move all of a single type of item in that inventory by shift double clicking on it while holding a stack in your hand. That saves a lot of clicking back and forth. You can also discard all types of that item by shift double clicking outside your inventory. I don't think these changes are as prominent as the other 3, but for players who spend a lot of time grinding for large quantities of items in a single session, such as mining for sand or nether quartz, this is so nice. Now the one everyone knows and loves is the beloved hold and drag feature, or I like to call it the paintbrush. Back in the old days, unless you had that many stacks of items needed, having to evenly distribute your crafting materials across the grid got very annoying very fast. But since 1.5, Minecraft allows you to hold the left click and move your stack of items across your crafting window to evenly spread out everything, made crafting feel so much better and more intuitive. Arguably one of the most notable quality of life changes of all time because of how integral crafting is to the game, so it was very noticeable. The 5th one, you know, the least acknowledged, but being able to simply right-click armor in your hotbar to equip them, it's a nice touch. In my experience, whenever I pick up any stuff on the ground, either someone else's or if I die and retrieve my stuff, I usually end up picking up the armor first for whatever reason. It makes it really convenient just to set myself up while staying on the move, especially if I'm being chased by anything. Last but not least, holding sprint. You have absolutely no idea how much I was happy to have this in vanilla, but it didn't come out until 1.7. Basically, unless you had the better sprint mod or some variant of it, you had to double tap every single time you broke your sprint, which happened a lot, especially when going upstairs or hitting a block while walking up a hill or something. Now you can just hold a key to be able to sprint. Usually I just select left control since you can use your pinky finger for that, but oh my goodness, this is by far the greatest quality of life change in the game. Forget everything I said about the past 4, this is by leaps and bounds the best one. Just kidding. No, but seriously, many of you can agree that this was sorely needed in Minecraft after all the agony of watching YouTubers and yourself have to double tap sprint every time it broke. Loved it. There's a bunch of other quality of life changes that I wasn't able to talk about, but if there's enough demand for one, I can definitely make a part 2. So if you would like me to, let me know in the comment section below. In fact, I can probably make about 10 more of these videos since Over the years, Minecraft has improved a lot on its usability, at least back in the early days in beta when there were a lot more inconveniences. I hope they continue on with that by adding more and more awesome changes and making the game feel more intuitive to play. Once again, if you enjoyed this video, a rating would be much appreciated. I'm still relatively new to making content in Minecraft, and so I hope you can show your support while I make more of these. Let me know in the comments section what other top 5s you would like me to create, and of course be sure to subscribe so you can stay tuned. But for now, that is going to be it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon in the next video. Take care.